Hey guys, welcome to Brotherhood Forged.
I'm Joey, and hanging with me is my buddy Paul.
We're just two normal guys following Jesus and trying to lead our families well.
We started this to build a place for real talk, real growth, and real brotherhood.
If you're about faith, leadership, and showing up when it's tough, you're in the right spot. If you like what you hear, hit the share button or leave a review. It helps way more than you know.
Let's get into it. Heavenly Father, we come before you with humble hearts, full of gratitude. You are awesome, mighty, and faithful. Every good thing we have, including the gift of marriage, comes from you, Lord. Thank you for being the foundation we stand on. Tonight, Lord, we give you the glory for all the marriages represented here. For my own marriage of nearly 33 years, thank you. For sustaining Bobby and I through every season, thank you. Through the joy and hardship, thank you. You've been our steady rock. Thank you for Paul and Amber, Lord, for the love they share, for the lessons they're learning, for their children and the child to be, and the grace you continue to pour into their journey. We pray over every listener tuning in, whether they're newly married, decades in, or praying for a spouse. May they feel encouraged, challenged, and reminded that marriage is sacred. Help us all see our spouses not as projects to fix, but as gifts to cherish. Teach us to love sacrificially, forgive quickly, and grow stronger through you. Lord, I ask you to strengthen every marriage listening today. Remind us that who we marry matters, and how we love matters even more. May everything said tonight point back to you. May your name be glorified in every word, story, and shared moment. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Welcome back, everybody. We talked about this a couple times, or I teased it on Facebook at least. I'm starting a new kind of segment here called Letters to Our Children. And the idea of this was a couple years ago, I came to Amber and I said, hey, what's some like legacy piece that we can leave behind or guidance or wisdom that we can leave behind if we're not here, especially for our daughters and soon to be son. And we didn't have the platform for it before, but now we have Brotherhood Forged. And this is something that we're really hoping to build off of is bringing different guests on here. So without forgetting to actually introduce her, this is Amber. This is my wife Amber here. You got Breslin over here with me too, and we're just really hoping to build off this and kind of give a different perspective. And the topic I won't spoil it too much. It talks. Well, actually, I don't want to get to that yet. I'll wait till we get to the introduction of it. I got a really good point for that though. But what do you got, Joey?
Well, I'm glad you introduced your wife and your daughter. That was really good. Yeah, with this, so we're going to have Amber as a regular guest. So it's not always just going to be Paul and I. Thankfully, you got someone that's actually a little prettier to look at, a
A
lot
lot.
prettier to look at than Paul and I. Yeah, a lot prettier than Paul and I. We're going to have different perspectives. Obviously, Paul and I are going to be there every week, but Amber has agreed to be on here on a semi-regular basis, give a different perspective, which we're really excited about. And I'm going to just let her kind of start off with what we're going to talk about today. If you're okay with that, Amber.
Sure.
I'll kick it for you. We talked about earlier. We're
Yeah.
like, what is something if we were, unfortunately, if we're not here, or if or even if we are, maybe they want to listen to us. They'd rather listen to this because difficult conversations, right? Or just guidance or wisdom that you can give back to somebody. So as we talked about that, what was the first thing that jumped out to you?
But there's a lot of things, but the first thing that we talked about was choosing your partner for the rest of your life. That's the biggest thing I would like the girls to really pay attention to. Um, I didn't have like the greatest example of a marriage growing up, and I took that into my relationships. But when I met Paul, I think a lot of our core values that I knew I didn't want and did want aligned pretty well.
That's good. What are some values that you guys do share?
Well, when it jumps off the page, the first thing you said, you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely it. 'Cause we did him a couple of years ago. Actually, I didn't bring him down here, but
Yeah.
what's that top one that always hits home for you?
Well, quality time. But I mean, if you think about it, what comes down to I was thinking about this before we even started. I mean, putting God
Hmm.
first, and
Yes.
uh, the rest follows after. I mean, if you put God first, you're going to attract the right person, which I feel like happened. And
I hope you feel like
yeah,
that.
well, and yeah, the quality time and the little things in life are so much more important than the big things. And I didn't really
Mm.
notice that until we started having kids. Um, the big thing, like when you have kids, you want to show them the world. You want to give them everything. You want to take the big vacations. You want to do the big water parks. We want to do Disney, which we already did, but it's those big things that really don't necessarily matter. It's the little things. And I noticed that when the girls are really little, the little things that you take advantage of, because taking them to the library or going on a picnic to the park. I mean, that's a big deal to them. They remember those things out of all the big things
Yeah.
that you do for them. I mean, we just took a trip to North Carolina and Sawyer, we did a bunch of fun things with my sister and her kids. And we asked her on the way home, we said, "What was your favorite part of the trip?" And out of all the big things that we did, the thing that she told us was the bounce house at my sister's house. I mean, we have the same one at home. And it was just like out of all the things that she would choose, it was the bounce house. And it just was so sweet. It just reminded me of those are the little things. Like that's all they cared about was spending quality time with their cousins, jumping on the bounce house that we have at home.
Yeah. Well, it's the times with the people that they love.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's spending time with you and Paul. I bet it's sitting around watching a movie.
Yeah.
They would probably rather do that, I'm just guessing, just from talking to Paul,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
than they would go to an amusement park with their friends. Because and I think back to my childhood and my best memories. I was talking to my wife today. We were driving by a little league ballpark, and my dad coached us. Today's been 5 years since my dad died. My dad coached me. That is like one of my best memories of anything I did as a
Oh
child.
yeah.
I just remember how he lifted us up. And he was like, I still once in a while will run into a guy that I played ball with as little league, like or see him on social media or whatever. And they'll be like, your dad was the best.
Yeah.
Because he didn't care about winning, but he cared about building us up, about making us feel good, and about, teaching us what we could do. So going back to your point, little things are really the big things,
Hmm.
right? It's just we don't get it.
Yeah.
We don't get it when we're 20 years old.
No. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard, man. I think societally everything's so fast paced. Like you're always trying to keep up with the next thing, do the next. You got your kids at the next practice. You're trying to do laundry. You're trying to do the dishes. You're running. You're scrambling. Where you miss, like when we're talking about that quality time being so important, it's like you miss those little opportunities. And Ryan Holiday had a really good example of we're always so focused on having the most the biggest the best intentional time. It's like, dude, you're missing the quote unquote garbage time where it's like you can do the dishes with your kid or you can give them bath. All this stuff that we look at is like, oh my gosh, I got to drive in this practice game, this is a burden, this is like this is so much more I have to do. But it's also a bid for connection. It's an opportunity to connect with their kids that one day you're gonna look back on and be like, I wish I could just drive them to practice one more time. Even the most stressful as bath night can be, I wish we had one more opportunity to have that bath night fun where they're just playing with their toys and you just get to talk and be silly. And it all goes by so fast. And to the original point, I think if you're, I would assume most marriage align with that one. But if you're not with the right person that can see that through the same lens, it can be really tough.
Yeah. You're talking about that, and the first thing that came to mind was you may not know the song. You're going to miss this.
Hmm.
Trace Adkins.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You get to my stage, and you guys know that I'm 20 years older than Paul, and I'm an empty nester. My son's 29, and he lives 15 minutes away, and he's busy. I see him, if I'm lucky, I'll see him once a week.
Yeah.
So yeah, and don't blink, guys. Don't blink, because that one right there on Paul's lap is going to be 25 years old. I mean, it feels like it goes that quick. So treasure the minutes when they're pulling each other's hair out and
Oh, I
all
know
that
it.
stuff that sisters do, because you're going to look back and you're going to definitely be smiling upon that. I promise you.
Yeah, we were joking about it earlier because we just got on roller skates and they were rollerblades. They can change back and forth. They're in the driveway playing with each other and having fun. I said to Amber, I'm like, look at how much cool it is when they're getting along. They could be best friends. And like probably 5, 10 minutes later, most times they just end up fighting and hitting each other. But it's like the moments where they are best friends is so cool. Even though like sometimes they'll fight, it's like, and we talked about this. We got a little boy on the way, but the way things worked out to have these two girls so close in age to give them each other the opportunity to have best friend as a sister, I think was huge. So everything does truly happen for a reason. We couldn't see it at the time, but having two little girls back to back, I think, was such a blessing.
You're lucky, right? You're lucky, and there's going to be a come a day. I guarantee. I would say these two will be the best of best friends.
I believe it. They
What do you
are.
think about that? Yeah. Like, what they're going to be the ones that call each other. I have a couple that I go to church with. They have two daughters that are real close in age, and they literally, I think, built houses next to one another now, and they both just had one had their second baby. It was their first baby, but it's just, I can see that. That'd be cool.
Hmm.
That'd be cool.
It's such a cool opportunity. Dude, we
Yeah.
so we'll get further into this topic, but we missed over something, man. The 5 years since your dad passed, and I did see your post about that, and obviously, we talked about it. I know the impact that he had on you, so I am sorry, obviously, and yeah, it's amazing to see when you talk about the memories and how highly you held your dad. So to build a little bit into this, man, is there any kind of like special shout out or anything you want to do, just to kind of
Well, obviously, I love my dad. He was my very best friend. He's the reason I have a Buckeye tattoo on my forearm. But you know what I've learned to do is rather than mourn, is to hang on to the good memories.
mm,
You know what? Focus on there are good memories there, right? So focus on those. Now, my dad, I don't really have any bad memories of him. He was just a good man, and has some qualities, not all qualities that I want to emulate, right? That I want, but he gave me a lot of things. He taught me a lot of lessons, how to be kind, how to be honest, and he always believed in me. And hopefully I'm always that way with my son, because that's definitely a goal. He taught me a lot, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the time I did have with him, for the 81 years we did have on this earth. So I focus on the good stuff.
yeah, I love that perspective, man. It's like the gratitude exercise you shared too. It's like, yeah, you could look at all the negative stuff, but there are so many beautiful things in there. And we talked about this, or it might have been the podcast episode with Larry. But as parents and especially as dads, I think we all just do the best that we can with what we have. Obviously, you and I have had more than what our parents had, but it sounds like your dad gave you such a good foundation to build off of, and it's your responsibility to take that to the next level, and you have, based off the man that you are from the getting to know you. It's you definitely have built off the honor that he's given you. You've honored him by building off of that.
I do hope so. I feel like I would make him proud if he were here. I mean, he always told me he was proud of me, anyways, even though I wasn't necessarily proud of myself. But he always encouraged me to chase my dreams and to believe in myself, even when I didn't. So yeah, I'm grateful for that, and I hope to pass on an equal or greater legacy
Mm.
to my son, and not only to my son, to a lot of people. And it's not for accolades or anything like that. It's just, you just want to, and we talk about that, Paul. We are doing this because we want to make a difference. We want to make a positive impact on not just men, on whoever we can. And that for you, starts at home, and for me, it starts with it's with my wife, because my wife is second only to God, as Amber mentioned earlier. And I love that you said that, Amber, because I'd say a great percentage of marriages, God is not even in the equation.
Hmm.
But God should come before Paul. Paul should come before the kids. I mean, our spouse, that sounds hard for people to hear, but our spouse is always going to be there until they're not breathing, of course.
Mhm.
But people get it messed up.
Well, we're
Yeah.
not always the best at it, right? There's times where we do take a
Oh,
backseat to each other just because it's so busy. But there was a saying that
of course.
was floated around the alliance. It was married first, parents second. And we always joked about that because we actually did it the opposite way. We were parents first and married second. But I understand that the
Ah,
idea is that your marriage has to come first, right? Because without that, then you're not parents most often. So we'll talk about this too, because you have to have that alignment, right? If you're thinking that, and then that same saying, even if you had kids first or whatever, but if you're married first, parents second, if you're not aligned as a marriage, that trickles down to your parenting. That's something you and I talked about. What we dive into for this one. So as I say that, what pops out to you about the alignment that we have to have together to raise them?
I think the best thing we can give our girls for that is the example that we have as a marriage, just how much we love each other and that we put each other first. We we're not the best at like putting ourselves, I guess, first before them, because life is so crazy right now. now, especially with a third on the way. We're not the best at going on dates and like spending little time away from the kids. But we talked about this the other day that we try and have, at home, maybe we'll have like 5 minutes to like go sit and talk, just the two of us. Most of the time it gets interrupted, I will say. It gets when we're trying to have a conversation and the girls come down and interrupt us. But it's like little things where when they go to bed, I don't always stay awake very long, but we'll try and watch a movie together. Little things like that. Those are kind of like our date nights. It's not very much right now, but it's just the season of life. And the girls get to see, in my opinion, a good quality, healthy marriage. That's truly how I feel.
I think that's just what you said. You're setting the example.
Yeah.
Paul is I'm assuming treating you like they're going to learn from watching how he treats you. When they find a boyfriend one day and he's not treating them like that, they're going to know something's wrong. That example is not that common in our world today.
It's not.
So that's great.
It's not.
It's great. And you talked about not always necessarily going on date nights. Well, the state when I was at your stage, we only had one, but we didn't really do date nights then. But we would watch movies together at home, or he'd be playing his video games. So it's not necessarily about going out on a date night. Date night looks different to everyone. It might just be a conversation, like you said, laying in bed or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's fine. I think that's fine. We were the same way. But you're setting examples for the girls, and soon to be Theodore. Is his name going to be Theodore?
Yeah.
Yeah, soon to be Theodore. Okay, that's great.
Yeah, what I love about that, what you said too, is I've always felt this responsibility of having two little girls that I have to set that standard for how they should be treated based off how I treat her, like you talked about. But to build up that further, like you said, we're setting the standard for marriage, what that should look like, and like we talked about, we've had different examples of what that looks like. Everybody does. So it's a matter of taking the examples that you've been given, good or bad, and creating I don't know, the most unified approach you can together based off your core values, based off the stuff that matters, and then give that to them and they'll do whatever they want with it, right? But if you know that you're aligned in those small things where it's like, I think date night could be a big priority for some people. It might not be for us. It's like we just want quality
Right.
time. So like we talked about it in the marriage one, it doesn't always look like a 5-star date night. It could be what we just talked about, 5-minute conversation, a movie, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because it's a matter of being okay with that together and communicating it and showing them that example that, hey, just because people do this kind of stuff, or just because even disagreements, if we have disagreements, we'll show them an example of how to resolve it. So it's like modeling all that in a way that gives them kind of the best foot forward when they start their relationships too, I would say.
Sounds like you guys prioritize one another, which they see that as well. I mean, that's just so important. And I haven't always done that, right? I mean, I would think, oh, golf. I want to play golf a couple of times a week or whatever, and that those days are just. I just don't want to do that anymore. Unfortunately, it took me a little bit longer to grasp that. When Alex was young, I was much better at sticking around. But then empty nesters, we became empty nesters, and I kind of got selfish. Say, don't go that route, right, Bobby? She's going to be hearing this eventually. So
Well, I think too,
That's-
like you said, you pick your partner because it really matters for the rest of your life. We did a lot of work when we first got to know each other. We met online. So we did a lot of like virtual FaceTime, like just talking and getting to know each other. We really made sure that we did align on a lot of stuff that at that point was a big deal, like fitness or how we spend our time. And then obviously it carried over into parenting. And sure, we didn't agree on everything, but we were able to like discuss different things or different things we brought into it to align on the big things, I would say. And so I guess that's another piece of the legacy part of it is when you're dating someone or you are getting to know them, make sure you're aligned on a lot of those things. Because if you're aligned on more at that point, it's easier to align on the bigger things down the road.
Bobby and I didn't meet online, but we met in college, and we are very aligned on a lot of things. And there's things we weren't as parents. We worked through those though. We never really argued in front of Alex, that type of thing. We always found a way to come together, whether it be we compromise. You guys, I'm sure, do the same thing, right? You don't always have the exact same values. So there's times you compromise, I'm assuming.
Building each other up. And so when I first introduced this topic, I was thinking, I know for a fact I wouldn't be the man I am today without her. And I know you'll say the same for you and Bobby. She's built you up in ways that you never
100%.
Yeah, you don't see that part of yourself. And so I think as you look at a marriage, like what they've given to us and built us up, my point is, would you ever think that you'd be on a podcast?
No. No.
Right. Neither did we. So you helped build us up to the point where we're on a podcast. Bob did the same for Joey, and now we're kind of giving back. So it's like
Oh,
getting you to step out of your comfort zone because we've stepped out of ours.
Hmm.
There's a saying of courage is taking the first step. So it gives someone else. If you take the first step, you give someone else the courage to take their first step too. So it's getting yourself out of your comfort
yeah.
zone and then inspiring others. And when you pick your partner, that's huge because that person will influence the way you carry yourself and see yourself the rest of your life. If you pick the wrong person, it could be negative. If you pick the right person, they can just continue
Yeah.
to build you up. So when I was thinking about this with this topic, I'm like, man, this wouldn't be here if we didn't believe in each other and inspire each other. Like this podcast
Right.
or the years of marriage that we have, because there's rough times. We'll all have that. But if you can
Oh,
beat
sure.
each other up and just support each other and encourage each other through those times, it makes a huge difference. And
Go.
thinking about how your partner that you choose can compliment you and encourage you and support you, I think a lot of that too, what you bring to the marriage, they can't always like fix the things that you're going through or brought to it or the trauma that you had to experience and stuff like that. So I think a lot of it too is like seeing where they're at and helping them through the journey. And thinking about that, what are you guys? What's your thoughts about how the quote of like your partner can't fix you, they can only help you, they encourage you. I mean, I know personally, I like I said, I wouldn't be the man that I am today without what you've done to build me up. But what are your guys' thoughts on that one? About your spouse can't fix you; they can only help you.
Yeah. And for me, Bobby's never tried to fix me. God knows there's been plenty of things that have needed work. She's been there to support me through them. She's never tried to fix me. And good thing because it doesn't work. And same with her. There have been times where I'm sure I probably did try to fix, but I learned really quick that that doesn't work. But if you support someone through a tough time or through something they're struggling with, you're going to have a lot more success.
I agree.
Amber, what do you think?
I think I came into our relationship with a lot more things I needed to work on than he did.
We're not keeping score.
But I mean, yeah, you're right. Like his support, the best thing about Paul is he never gave up on me because he kind of met me at a weird time in my life, um, and he just never gave up. Chased me for a while and kept me in line and
Yeah.
on track. And the support was something. I mean, I had support from my parents, but the relationship before him, I did not have. So that was the big difference when I met him. Is I knew that I could get through anything if he was there to support me and encourage me. But yeah, not fix because you
Yeah,
really
that's
can't.
huge.
As women, sometimes too, we think we can fix things. Like I'm a fixer. I think that was the biggest difference between him and my other relationships was that he wasn't trying to fix me. He was, like you said, supportive.
I can relate to just about everything you said from a male perspective. Bobby didn't give up on me, and she had every reason to. Every reason to. And so many marriages today, and not just today, but they take the easy way out, right? They give up immediately when something goes wrong. It goes back to putting God first. If you put God first, marriage is very fixable.
Yep.
If you both work
Yeah.
together, right?
Yeah.
Can't fix one another, but working together, it can be fixed.
Hmm.
All right, so next, guys, what do you think about advice you might give your younger selves? What comes to mind if you first hear that?
Yeah, I think a top one is core values, like we talked about, and character. I mean, who a person is on their worst day or even their best day, right? Like I think if we're all trying to do the best work, we're going to be level across the board. But especially in those worst moments, like that'll show you a lot about that person. So don't chase chemistry, chase their character. Chemistry can come and go. That can be a high of things are great, the weather's nice, like it can just flow, right? It can feel more natural, but it's who the person truly is in those bad times that will help get you through those tough times of marriage.
And also, you're not always going to feel in love because love's not a feeling, love is a choice. Love is a choice because there are days that you don't really want to love your spouse. Sometimes you don't even really like them. I mean, that's just a fact. I know she doesn't always like me. Love is just a choice. I mean, it really is. It's not an emotion. It's not always going to be emotion. It's not always going to be this physical attraction. That's not love. It's a choice. It's really that simple.
Yeah, like you used to have to choose to love me if I forget to do the dishes.
She'll remind you though.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
She'll remind you.
All right. So marriage will be the foundation of your future family, which is so true. Like we were talking about earlier, we want to give our girls the best example of a healthy, quality relationship. And we don't have a lot of privacy with them. If we have a disagreement, they're right in the middle of it, listening and even making their own
Mhm.
comments to things. But I like that they get to see us resolve that conflict, um, and not hide it. You know, for the most part, our arguments aren't terrible.
Mhm.
Our disagreements aren't terrible. I want them to see a good example of a conflict and how to fix it. I think we do a pretty good job.
Yeah, conflict is so natural and it's going to happen. So it's all about how you resolve it. And I think there's a lot of examples where you could have that and you don't allow your kids to see the full picture of it, like you said. So they'll just see the conflict. They'll go to bed worried that mom and dad are fighting and things are bad. And to them, everything's fighting, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't even loud. It was just we were disagreeing about something. But it's showing them the resolution of it because that's truly what's going to get you through it. So if you think about marriage being the foundation of everything of your future family, build it wisely. Yeah, that's one of those things where if we don't have good conflict resolution in our marriage, then our foundation probably isn't going to be built very wisely to pass on to them for our future family. So I don't think you should always overshare with your kids, but I think it does. You show them good examples through those things because it's a real life moment. They saw us having a disagreement and we showed them how we resolved it too. So
That's really important. As a kid, I was not so lucky to have those kind of experiences, right? I remember the fights behind the closed doors, not knowing what was going on and
mhm.
being like, don't remember my exact thoughts, but I know it was traumatizing. So the way you guys are handling it, well done.
Man, thank you, man. I think it's important, like you
Yeah,
said, behind the door because as a kid, you're always going to think worst case scenario too, and you're going to think that it might have been your fault or think that your parents are upset because of something you did or didn't do. And that's a lot of weight to carry as a kid. So if they can understand, and I don't think every fight is appropriate, every conflict is appropriate for your kids to see, but this was kind of a low stakes one where they were present, they saw it, and then we showed them how to resolve it. So it can take that burden off of them of thinking like, oh, I might have done something to upset my dad. And we've all heard stories about that, right? Where the little kid carries that weight to bed and they don't sleep very good, and the next day they're not very good at school. So it can really trickle down, I think,
right.
too. It's just a lesson in communication. You're not always going to agree with people or get along with people, but how can you resolve it? How can you get through that conflict in a healthy way to get you guys to the end outcome that you need to get to?
How about the Facebook marriage? It looks so perfect in Facebook, but you need to be married to somebody who walks beside you in truth,
Yeah.
right? Not just Facebook perfect,
Mm-hmm.
because that's not reality.
No.
Mhm.
That's I mean we're not gonna post the ugly stuff, right? But so many people see that and they think, oh, their marriage is perfect. My wife definitely holds me accountable and is very truthful to me, and I'm grateful for that. I ask for the same thing from my brothers in Christ and my friends, my good friend, the real friends. Be honest with me, not just my spouse, but I think that is so amazing or so important, but it's not so common.
Yeah, today's day and age, man, it's like one of those things where it's the hustle and bustle. It's everything's on Facebook and out there, and we got a lot of good stuff out. Like you said, we're not always gonna post the ugly stuff, right? But it's knowing that that person is behind you on your worst day, and they're with you through that hardship stuff. And I think you could really weed a lot of that out in the dating phase based off how people show up for you. Like we talked about, that's the standard. If they're not going to treat you well, they're not probably going to treat your kids as well. They're not going to pass on those good examples. And marriage will be hard, life will be hard. There's that quote poem going around there, choose your heart, right? It's marriage is hard, but or divorce can be hard. And there's going to be good times and bad times. It's a matter of, is that person right for you to stand beside you and be there with you to help you get through those times for you, for your marriage, for your family.
Don't take that decision lightly.
All right, as we wrap this one up, as we build on the letter to our children, how do you want to sign this one out for us?
I'll say it's better to wait for the right person than to rush to the wrong one. But at the end of the day, that's how I feel.
Yeah. Societally speaking, there can be a sense of urgency, right? And I even joked with you that You wanted to have 2 kids by 30 and all this stuff. You wanted to fall in place based on this timeline. But if it's not the right person, don't do that. I mean, things will come to you in life if you're doing the right stuff, if you're putting your faith in God, if you're doing the right things. I think that's one thing we didn't talk about earlier. You can't expect the right person to come to you if you're not doing the right stuff.
Right.
So it's a matter of live out the way that you want to live out for that marriage, for that person, because then the right person will find you. And like you said, wait for them. Don't rush it, because I think a lot of times we can rush this. And this is way too big of a decision to rush into.
Mm. I agree.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Well done, Amber. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, you guys.
This was awesome.
Yeah.
We'll we'll get more of these episodes with Amber. We look forward to them. And Breslin, we had some guests on the show tonight. Sawyer jumped in there here and there, and we also had some Tucker sightings in the back.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good.
Brez wants to say hi for the recording. Can you close us out? What will you say to say bye?
Bye.
All right, so tonight's Bible verse, 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 7, NIV. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It's not proud. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. A perfect picture of the daily practice of love and marriage, not just emotion, but actions.
Well said. Love is patient. Give each other that room to grow, like we talked about.
Love is kind. Small acts build lasting connection.
That's good. It does not envy or boast. You're on the same team. You guys are playing that well.
Man, how real is that one? Make sure you're on the same team, but don't keep score against each other. Keep score together.
Oh, how many times have you kept score, though?
Oh, dude.
Have you ever?
Natural.
I mean, we all have, right?
oh, yeah.
We've all
Oh,
kept
yeah.
score.
It-
And there was a point in my marriage where I kept score way too much. And I really don't do it anymore. I mean, sometimes I catch myself, but I really try not to do it anymore. Bobby, I try not to. So
That's the key. Love, it's not proud. Humility keeps love strong.
It protects, guard each other's hearts, and trust.
and it does trust. Believe the best in about each other.
Yeah, that's big. If we're not keeping score, also, we want to make sure we're believing the best about each other. Because, like we said, that marriage one, there's times where you think you're going to come home to a clean house, clean dishes, dinner made. Life gets in the way, jobs get in the way, it doesn't happen. So, we're going to trust the best in each other, that they had the best intention to get it done, that didn't get done. And we're not going to keep score if it didn't get done. We're on the same page, same team.
Amber, is he doing okay at that one?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I'm just playing.
Occasionally.
Yeah, I believe he does. Occasionally. There you go.
In hopes, stay anchored in your future together. Man, you guys talked about your future together vision. Where I said it sounds like Tennessee. Yeah, that vision and future together. That's all about definitely being on the same page that you guys both wrote.
There was a point where I was not on the same. We were not on the same page, and now we're completely aligned, and it feels so much better. It's the only way to be, and that vision's going to change over time for both of you. But you got to be on the same page.
It perseveres. Real love shows up even when it's hard.
Yeah, you talked about Amber, Paul sticking by your side and pursuing you when he could have walked away, probably, right?
Yeah.
Bobby's done that for me because we get it, what marriage is really about, right? And sometimes, Amber, you're going to give 100% or 90%. Sometimes Paul's going to give 90, 100%, maybe 100%. And same with Bobby and I. But sometimes it's very hard, and sometimes you don't really want to be married, but everybody goes through that. But the strong survive.
Yeah, that point I saw in the marriage one too from Eric Wooten. The person with the greater capacity has the greater responsibility. And how true is that through different seasons of marriage? Right now, 33 weeks pregnant, she can't do the things that she wants to do around the house, and that's fine. She doesn't have the capacity for it right now. She's obviously got a lot more things going on. She's building lungs and creating all these things inside of her. So I have the greater capacity, and I constantly have to remind myself of that. And I think a lot of us do in those situations where we're picking up more stuff. It's, hey, it's not about you. It's not about her. It's about your marriage. It's about your family. Do you have the greater capacity to do more to show up for your family? Then it's your responsibility for your marriage, for your family, for your household. And sometimes it does suck. Sometimes it can be hard. But if you fall back on all these points that we've talked about, I think you really get a beautiful total picture right there if you lean into all these kind of things here. Reminder to myself, obviously, too.
I really appreciate that because this pregnancy has been a lot harder than with the girls. So I feel like I'm slacking a little bit. but he doesn't make me feel that way. He always picks up the pieces for me.
It's not
Lucky.
easy.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's not always easy, right?
He does get stressed, and I feel terrible. But yeah, I'm at a point in my pregnancy where I'm like a little bit checked out. So I'm thankful.
You're allowed to be. And you're allowed to be.
Mhm.
And he's given you space for that. That's so important. Well, guys, this was a fun episode. It was very different for the people that listen and watch us, but we're going to do some more like this. We think it's good to have some variety and have different perspectives. And we talk about brotherhood, but we're not much without our wives. I know I'm not. I know Paul's mentioned he's not as well. So, Amber, thanks for being on. This was a lot of fun. But send those questions in, guys. Send the comments and gals comments what you'd like to see more of. You got anything to wrap it up, Paul?
Yeah, that's on me, the content guy, right? We talked about this. I'll have better guardrails or guide rails for us.
I wasn't saying
No,
that.
I know. I'm throwing it out there. What we're thinking for going forward with these ones is we'll have a topic and we'll kind of go through things where we didn't always live up to that topic that we want to pass down to the next generation, to our kids, and then some mistakes that we made along the way, or things that we think are practical that could help you avoid those mistakes. But obviously, too, like you said, if people have questions while we have Amber's perspective, it's not often. I mean, we're just two dudes, right? So, like I said in the podcast with Larry, he said, "What's the biggest thing that you can give to people raising daughters? Talk to your wife." If I think that I have to go at raising daughters by myself without her perspective, I'm crazy and I'm going to fail every single time. We need our other half. So if you have questions that you want to throw out there while we have a different perspective, we'll definitely build off of it.
Amber, anything to close us with?
Closing thoughts would be quality time over quantity time. We don't always have, I mean, we're both working full time. The kids are in multiple sports, and, finding that even 30 minutes at night of quality time with reading with them or talking with them about their day, that's just the most important time.
I agree.
Sometimes you got to make the time, no matter what it is, turn it into quality. Don't miss that opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Amber. Thanks, Paul. Tuck those babies in bed. This is a late Sunday night for all of us, and I think that's a wrap.
Thanks for listening today. We don't take that for granted.
Your support matters. You're part of something much bigger, and we're thankful you're on this journey with us.
Stay strong, stay intentional, and know you're not walking this alone.
If this challenged you, please share the impact. Growth is better together.
We'll see you next time on Brotherhood Forged.